"We need all your keys," they said. 21 years reduced to one sentence. No handshake, no eye contact, just a security guard holding a cardboard box and a smirk that said, "Don't make a scene." So I didn't. I handed them every single key. Every physical one, anyway. The brass kind that clink and catch the light when you turn them over. But the digital ones, the ones that unlock deeds, contracts, and ownership records, those were buried deeper, forgotten by everyone except me. They fired me on a Wednesday. By Saturday, the building had an eviction notice taped to the glass doors, flapping like a white flag they didn't know they'd raised. It's funny how trust rots from the inside first. When I started there, the CEO, Tom Harlan, called me his right hand. I handled every lease, every contract, every renewal that kept his empire standing. He used to pat my back in meetings and say, "If Mark says it's solid, it's solid." I believed that meant something. Then the new CFO came. Young, sharp. The kind of smile that doesn't touch the eyes. Within 6 months, she was sitting in meetings I wasn't invited to. I noticed documents being re-signed, my initials gone, hers replacing them. Tom started using words like transition and restructuring. That's corporate language for burying the body before it starts to smell. The final meeting was quick. They said my role had evolved beyond its necessity. They gave me a severance check that wouldn't cover half my mortgage and told me to leave with dignity. So I did. But dignity has a long memory. 3 days after they fired me, Tom called. It wasn't a conversation. It was an eruption. "Mark, what the hell is this eviction notice?" I could hear the panic under the anger, the kind of fear that comes when the ground finally shifts under your feet. I didn't answer immediately. Just let the silence stretch, taut and heavy. Then I said, calm as a surgeon, "You should probably read the lease, Clause 17B. He didn't remember, of course. He'd never read half the documents he signed. That's what I was for. Clause 17B stated that if rent wasn't renewed within a 48-hour grace period after term expiration, the property reverted to the legal custodian of record. That custodian used to be his holding company. Until 6 months ago, when I quietly filed an amendment transferring custodianship to a subsidiary I controlled. It was hidden in a pile of 40 lease renewals. The signature on it? His. He'd signed his own eviction. I spent the next 2 days watching from my car as movers arrived, confused employees crowding the lobby while a sheriff taped official notices to the glass. They looked like ants whose hill had been kicked. I didn't feel joy exactly, just balance. I remembered every late night I'd stayed behind to clean up Tom's mistakes. Every time he'd taken credit for my work. Every time I'd watched him pocket bonuses meant for the team. I remembered the moment he told me I was no longer aligned with company goals. And now, his company had no building. He tried to fight it, of course. His lawyers came knocking, but the paperwork was airtight. Everything was legal, every form filed, every signature genuine. It took them weeks to realize the land, the building, even the server room were now under my holding company's name. I didn't sell it right away. I waited until the headlines hit. Harlan Group faces sudden relocation crisis. Then I sold the property to their competitor at market value, cash. When Tom finally asked to meet, I agreed, out of courtesy, I suppose. He looked smaller in person, shoulders hunched, skin pale, that expensive watch looking heavier than his wrist could carry. He opened with, "You planned this." I didn't deny it. I planned for anyone who thought I was disposable. His voice cracked. "You ruined me." "No," I said. "You signed yourself out." He wanted me to feel guilt, maybe regret, but there was nothing left to feel. He had stripped me of everything that defined me. I simply rebuilt it elsewhere, using the foundation he'd forgotten I poured. As I left, he called after me. Was it worth it? I turned back. It wasn't revenge, Tom. It was closure. That night, I unlocked the office door of my new firm. Smaller, quieter, but mine. I hung the same brass keys on the wall, framed behind glass. A reminder of what loyalty costs when it's misplaced. Sometimes I catch myself tracing the memory of that last day. The moment they asked for all my keys. They wanted control. What they gave me instead was access. And in the end, it wasn't the keys that opened their doors. It was the silence I left behind when I walked away.